So does anybody else spend a lot of time wishing they had the chance to climb the Aggro Crag or compete as a Purple Parrot? Hi y'all, my name is Joshy Gaga, and thanks for checking out today's video. I have a producer here today, let me show you. This is Jack Jack, he's my producer today. Say hi. Growing up, I was a pretty lonely kid, so video games and cable TV were really my best friends. And some of my favorite things to watch on TV were old Nickelodeon game show reruns. Like, Guts and Figured Out were honestly the best, and I really wish I could have competed on them. Not like I have any physical abilities or hidden talents. So where did all these great shows go, and why aren't there any fun kids game shows anymore? I've been thinking about these shows a lot lately, so today we're going to dive in on why these shows were so awesome and why they aren't around anymore. So if you too still dream of climbing the Aggro Crag, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more exciting videos just like this one, where I talk about all of the random things that keep me up at night, and you can get more Jack Jack content. Nickelodeon launched in 1979 as the first ever children's network. It premiered with 5 different children's variety shows, including their flagship show Pinwheel and a teen show called America Goes Bananas. The network continued to grow over the next few years with a lot of live action content. It wasn't until 1981 when Nickelodeon started airing the Canadian sketch comedy show You Can't Do That on Television. This is the first show that really picked up for Nickelodeon and put them on the map. After struggling to gain significant popularity, Nickelodeon rebranded in 1984 with the new orange logo that we now know today. The rebranding rockets Nickelodeon to the top and it becomes a huge hit. During this time, Nickelodeon started doing a lot of focus groups for kids. One of the things that they learned was that kids loved watching game shows with their parents at night, but there weren't actually any game shows geared towards kids. So Nickelodeon is approached by a production group and Nabisco to put together a game show that they can put on TV for kids. Yes, Nabisco, like the food company. Nabisco was looking for a way to do television commercials for kids that weren't animated. Nick was willing to consider the show if it was any good, so they came in and pitched the show to Nickelodeon. Whatever they did, 'twas not good, love. So after initially wanting to just scrap the idea, Nickelodeon holds a brainstorm over lunch so they can try to get some new ideas for a kids game show. What they were able to come up with was a combination of trivia, truth or dare, and the chaotic board game Mousetrap. And thus, Nickelodeon's first game show Double Dare was born. So, the game is simple. 2 teams of tweens compete in a game of trivia, truth or dare for cash and prizes. Most of the questions were pop culture based or tricky trivia for kids. You can either take a guess, or you can dare the other team for double the money. And if the other team doesn't know the answer, they can double dare you back for double the double money. And then the original team can either take a guess, or they can take on the physical challenge. The physical challenges were usually a simple task turned super messy. Super sloppy? They could be anything from becoming a human banana split sundae to, I don't know, building a giant Frankenstein monster. Watching from home, it was pretty hilarious to watch all of the kids wipe out all the time. Obviously from the comfort and cleanliness of my own couch. And usually the challenges are full with lots of slime. Double Dare wasn't actually the origin of slime. Slime was first seen on the sketch show You Can't Do That on Television, where if any of the cast members ever said, I don't know, they would get slimed. The physical challenges were really exciting because they weren't really scheduled and you never knew when they were gonna be, so it was always really fun to watch at home. The obstacle course finale was basically just like a giant game of Mousetrap. The winning team had 60 seconds thrown through a course of 8 different wacky obstacles, and the team wins a prize for each of the obstacles that they complete. Every single one of them. So they would spend literally like 3 to 5 minutes explaining what the obstacles and the prizes are before you actually get to run the course. Early on in the show, the big prize at the end is actually a trip to Disney World, which is weird considering Universal Studios at Universal Studios Florida. The obstacle challenge was always insane because it was just mess after mess after mess after mess, and I would just sit there and laugh and laugh and laugh and laugh. Of course, Nick majorly profits off of the success of Double Dare and makes another game show the next year called Finders Keepers, where what you find is what you keep. The host was Lil Cutie Wesley Yor, who was also one of the developers of Dragon Tales. On Finders Keepers, teams of tweens are challenged to find hidden objects in cartoon puzzles called Hidden Pictures, based on the given clue. At the end of each round, the teams get to search various rooms in the giant house to find hidden objects. The team with the most money at the end gets to do a giant house search called the Room to Room Romp for more prizes. Searching the rooms was definitely the highlight of the game because some of the rooms were just insane. They had normal things like living rooms and bathrooms, but then they also had like Frankenstein's lair and the torture tower. This definitely feels like the basis for Legends of Hidden Temple, right? I really liked this show because everything was really visual and it was really fun and interactive for people at home. After the premiere of Double Dare, other networks quickly jumped on the bandwagon and started producing their own kids game shows, and even messier shows like Slime Time and Funhouse. To compete with the more messy shows, Nick began expanding building the Double Dare telematic universe. There was a Super Sloppy Double Dare special event, there was syndication on Fox, we had Family Double Dare, a show where you could throw cats through windows into your parents' giant pants for money. I'm not making that up. And even attempts at adult versions of Double Dare. At this point, most of the Nick shows were being filmed in either Philly or New York, and all of the live-action scripted content was just being filmed at rented locations. So Nick really needed a place of their own to film. In the late 80s, Universal Studios offers a deal with Nickelodeon to custom build Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios, Florida, for free with no rent charge. Nick obviously agrees, but on the one condition that Nickelodeon had to promote Universal Studios 1,000 times a year on air and also play all of Universal's TV commercials. So I guess now we know why it's kind of just burned into our memory. Filmed in front of a live studio audience at Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios, Florida. It keeps me up at night. Once the studios opened in 1990, almost every 90s Nick game show was filmed there, starting with a new Super Sloppy Double Dare and Think Fast. We had shows like Figure It Out, Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Nick Arcade, and Get the Picture, all these different shows that were filmed at Universal Studios, Florida. Each game show would film its year-long season over the course of about a month, and then it would get rotated to film the next show's season. But what made these game shows so popular and why were they so good? I really feel like the shows were super successful because they were engaging, they were interactive, and they were really enjoyable to play at home. The shows relied heavily on active participation and physical challenges, rather than just a traditional trivia game show. The shows were engaging, absurd, and just as creative as our own imaginations. When you were homesick from school and had to watch all those game shows on TV, nobody wanted to watch adults win cars or refrigerators. I wanted to win a trip to Disney World. And now those kinds of shows for kids actually existed. And were good. You got to watch kids do the coolest things on TV. Everybody wanted to be on those game shows growing up. Everybody wanted to go take a vacation to Universal Studios. It was really like the coolest vacation thing that you could do. I would say that the show that was most popular for Nick in the 90s was Legends of the Hidden Temple. I actually did my own research and put out a survey about this, and based on my Instagram poll, more people cared about Legends of the Hidden Temple than any of the other game shows. I mean, it was a decent sample size, so I feel like it's accurate. Legends of the Hidden Temple combined every different aspect of these game shows that we loved. There was a team physical challenge across the moat, trivia at the steps of knowledge, competing in the very physical temple games, and a final timed run through the giant hidden temple. Growing up, I always wanted to be a purple parrot, but now I feel like I'm Team Green Monkeys because I feel like I identify as a green monkey. I'm also still particularly terrified of the temple guards that would capture you while you're in the temple. They're just like... I think what really sold this show was the crazy Indiana Jones themed set and the giant talking Olmec as the co-host. Do you have it? So another crazy show that I really loved growing up was Nickelodeon Guts, which, by the way, probably had the best theme song out of all of them. Do you have it? Guts. Do you have it? On Guts, 3 contestants compete in different extreme versions of athletic events inside the Extreme Arena. The extreme events were designed to live out your biggest sports fantasies. So, I don't really know why I liked this show because I didn't really like sports that much. Oh yeah, I remember. It's the Aggro Crag. Racing up the Aggro Crag in the final round was one of the coolest things to see on TV. The Aggro Crag lives rent-free in my head, right behind the Disney Channel games, but right next to Elsa's Ice Palace. There was also a season of Global Guts, where kids got to compete with different kids from other countries. And there was also a video game for the Super Nintendo. Your fave could never. Another one of the unique and super memorable shows from this time was Figure It Out, where a panel of Nick stars tried to figure out kids' Cuckoo Bananas' hidden talents by asking yes or no questions. The stars were pulled from the different shows that they were filming at the time on the lot. My personal favorite panelists were Danny Tamborelli, obviously Amanda Bynes, and the queen herself, Lori Beth Denberg. I really liked watching Figure It Out for the funny panel and all of the slime, because trust me, there was a lot. But I also felt super sad watching it because I didn't have a hidden talent. Is Figure It Out the reason why I have such low self-esteem? Do real normal people actually have hidden talents? If you have a hidden talent, comment below and let me know, because the only thing that I can do is I can chip my nails. That's my hidden talent. But honestly, at this point, Lori Beth Denberg and Amanda Bynes should just be on the panel for The Masked Singer. It would be so much better. Sorry, Jenny. But game shows weren't the only shows on Nickelodeon really thriving in the 90s. There were also lots of live-action content and the development of Nicktoons. Some of the scripted shows like Clarissa Explains It All, Kenan and Kel, and all that were filmed at Nickelodeon Studios at Universal, and by the mid-90s, Universal Studios had much lower attendance rates than Walt Disney World, so Universal decided to focus more on theme park expansion and less about the actual production studios. Because of all of this, attendance at the game shows and at the scripted stuff at Universal significantly dropped. In 1997, Nickelodeon opens Nick Animation and Nickelodeon on Sunset here in LA instead of Florida. Most of those live-action scripted shows moved to Nick on Sunset, where they could have a closed set instead of an open one. By 1999, the only game show that was still filming at Universal Studios was Figure It Out. And by 2001, Nickelodeon Studios starts laying off a bunch of people, and by 2005, Nickelodeon Studios permanently shuts down. Interestingly enough, around this time, Nickelodeon decided to launch a new sister channel called Nickelodeon Games and Sports, or Nick Gas. The purpose of this was basically to create a kids version of the game show network. The lineup consisted of 24 hours of Nick game shows and sports content, and Figure It Out host Summer Sanders was also named the on-air commissioner of Nick Gas. Unfortunately, Figure It Out would end its run 9 months after Nick Gas premieres. To celebrate surviving Y2K, Nickelodeon revives its greatest game franchise with Double Dare 2000 on their main network. Nick Gas did have a few original programs like Play to Z, Game Farm, and Splash TV. The other thing that was really interesting about Nick Gas is that they didn't actually have any advertisements on their show during commercials. They would just film Nick Gas content and commercials and then just air it during the commercial breaks. We had things with like interviews with athletes, Global Gas, and Heroes of the Game. I personally really discovered Nick Gas around 2005, but at that point, the network was fully automated, cycling only 7 different shows through every day at the same time. But alas, in August of 2007, Viacom announces that they will be shutting down Nick Gas and turning it into a 24-hour stream of the N. Nick Gas officially closes at 6 a.m. on December 31st, 2007.
All right.
After airing an episode of Figure It Out, there were a couple bumpers in between, and then it switched over to the end stream of Instant Star, which, by the way, is my favorite Canadian TV show. The transition from Nick Gas to the end was not really received well by people like me, including Ethan, who documented his experience on YouTube. Now this is where we really get into the dark era of Nick game shows. There really haven't been any super successful popular shows since the 90s. In the 2000s we had Scaredy Camp and Brain Surge, and in the 2010s they had Webheads, Paradise Run, and Keep It Spotless. Brain Surge and Keep It Spotless are definitely two that stand out to me the most as a great way to reinvigorate all of those games into the 21st century. The Dark Era also saw short revivals of Guts, Figure It Out, and Double Dare. There was also a Legends of the Hidden Temple movie in 2016 starring the girl that would go on to play Dora in The Lost City of Gold. Interestingly enough, since COVID started, Nickelodeon has launched 2 new game shows. One of them is called Nickelodeon's Unfiltered, where a panel of teams has to guess which celebrity is behind the filter on Zoom. This one isn't really fun for the viewer at home because we already know who the person is, and the interactiveness is just being able to download the filter on your phone for yourself. The other current show is called Tuned In. 3 contestants have to answer questions about Nicktoons, but this time it's hosted by an animated robot on a screen. There is lots of slime in Tuned In though, so I do love that. I guess my question at this point is, are these newer shows any good as the ones from the 90s? I don't think so. They're not as interactive. They're not as catchy as they used to be. In the 2000s, I really appreciated that nostalgic feel from the 90s, but the newer game shows to me just kind of feel too commercial and basic. However, there is a brand new Legends of the Hidden Temple adult version of the game coming to the CW this October. Maybe this will be the first CW show that I'll like since Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. Thankfully, if you don't like the newer shows, you can watch some of the older ones on Paramount Plus now. Double Dare, both old and new, Guts, Legends of the Hidden Temple, Nick Arcade, and the newer Paradise Run. So I'm sitting here editing and I can't believe that I forgot my actual favorite game show from the 90s, which was Nick Arcade. What's wrong with me? Overall, I really feel like the newer Nick games have lost a bit of their charm after the late 90s. I feel like Nick really stopped investing in the game shows, and that's why they stopped being so popular. Shout out to shows like Brain Surge and Keep It Spotless that really bring back that Nickelodeon Studios vibe that we had before. Nickelodeon, please bring back more game shows. You can give me a call. I've got lots of great ideas. My first idea is obviously to bring back our Lord and Savior Lori Beth Denberg. All right, well, thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye. Do you have anything you'd like to say to the fans? No.